Being a fish isn't easy. I know this because there are 10 sushi restaurants in my neighborhood. Salmon are a great example of fish that have to overcome huge obstacles just to get back to where they came from. Many never make it, but now those salmon have a better chance. They're getting canonized. Here's Adam Yamaguchi.
Wild salmon live an interesting life. They hatch from eggs laid in freshwater rivers, migrate downstream to mature in a saltwater ocean for up to 5 years, then swim back upstream, sometimes hundreds of miles, to find their place of origin to mate or spawn, and start the cycle all over again. But there's a problem. With mankind damming and controlling rivers, fewer salmon are making it back to their home waters to reproduce. But a device called the salmon cannon, that's not a joke, can now help get more fish over water barriers while speeding up the process of separating the wild from the hatched. I made my way up the Washougal River in Washington State to meet with Todd Deligan of Whoosh Innovations, the mad geniuses behind the salmon cannon.
Getting these migratory species to the habitat that they haven't been at for decades now is such a huge issue here in the Columbia Basin, here in the Pacific Northwest. If we can help do that, that's really a huge goal of ours.
Getting more salmon to spawn is important to keep the species thriving and to meet the world's demand for fish. Todd and his team worked with the Washington Department of Fish and Wildlife to develop this fast and safe fish transportation system. On our visit, the salmon cannon was being used to separate wild salmon from salmon raised in hatcheries.
The salmon swim up and into this holding pen. The biologists will be in the holding pen itself, and they will pick up a fish and they will determine whether it's a hatchery fish or a wild fish. And then the hatchery fish will be put into the whoosh system and then transported up the conduit into a truck.
The salmon cannon is a pneumatic device, which means it uses compressed air to propel an object inside a closed tube or container.
The fish are then accelerated through the first part of the pump house, and then they're accelerated all the way up the conduit 120 feet to the back of the hatchery truck. And the time it takes for the fish to travel from the beginning of the pump house to the hatchery truck is somewhere between 4 and 6 seconds.
After their 4 to 6 second ride, the salmon end up here, in a freshwater tanker truck, where they'll be transported back to the fish hatchery to spawn and complete their life cycle, while the wild salmon continue upstream.
And what we want are calm fish. We don't want any thrashing around. What we're seeing right now are calm, non-stressed fish.
They're just hanging out.
They're just hanging out, and that's what they should be doing.
The salmon cannon has dramatically slashed the time over previous methods of transferring salmon.
It's really cut down the amount of labor that it takes to load up the truck. Prior to this, we were using a forklift with a tote on the front, and then we would load it with water and then with fish, and then we'd have to do 3 trips per truck.
The salmon cannon may be an inspired innovation for getting fish over dams, even separating the different breeds. But does it traumatize them in any way?
This particular method of transport is safer on the fish. It's less handling for the fish. They are transported from their water environment through our system back to a water environment very quickly.
The salmon zip along inside the soft plastic tube that's kept wet to reduce friction. Kind of like a salmon slip and slide. This salmon cannon tube is 120 feet long, but there have been successful tests with a 250-foot tube over high dams. And it's not just for salmon. The cannon can help transport and manage different kinds of fish all over the world.
All day, and every single time you get a laugh.
First, it's time for the Mo You Know. In 1790, President George Washington issued the very first U.S. patent. What invention was it for? Was it A, wooden teeth, B, apple pie, or C, fertilizer? We'll be back with that answer faster than you can lie about chopping down a cherry tree. Welcome back from powdering your wig. For the break, we asked what the first United States patent was for. If You said C, fertilizer. You are correct. In 1790, inventor Samuel Hopkins received the first patent for making potash, an ingredient used in fertilizer. The patent was signed by first President George Washington. Since then, roughly 9 million inventions have received patents in the US. I know it's hard to believe, but I still have none. And that's the Mo You Know.
Words. All of us get confused from time to time on which to use. Like, is it dithering idiot or blithering idiot? Lucky for us, the first American dictionary was born right here in this house. Otherwise, all of us would go around sounding blithering, dithering, like idiots.
This is the very first American dictionary, researched and written by Noah Webster. It was published in 2 volumes in 1828 and contained 70,000 words. I was happy to point the way to the house where it all started.
Webster House this way to the Webster House. Webster House is this way. Hey, do you know what lepidoptery means?
No.
Neither do I. Can you go to the Webster House and find out for me? Because that's where you find the definitions to big words.
It took Noah Webster 20 years to write the first American dictionary, working on it for the last 5 years in this house. Originally located in New Haven, Connecticut, but moved to Greenfield Village at the Henry Ford in 1936. Curator Jeannie Miller was waiting for me there.
Hi, Jeannie.
Hi, Mo. Welcome to the Webster House.
Well, I'm already in love with it. What's your favorite feature of this house?
Oh, there are many beautiful ones, but it would be the entablature.
What's an entablature?
Let's go look it up in Webster's.
How convenient.
This was Webster's study. This was the room that he did all of his work in. His tools were his books.
Even though there were English dictionaries from Great Britain, Webster felt America needed its own English dictionary because new distinctive words were being coined on a regular basis.
There were lots of words that were uniquely American, like chowder, skunk, applesauce.
Is applesauce one word or 2?
It's one.
Webster also didn't like the British way of spelling certain words, so he simply changed them.
Like logic. The English spelled it with a K at the end, and Noah said, we don't need that. So he took the K off, and it ends only in a C.
That's a logical way of spelling logic.
Absolutely. Words like theater, he decided that spelling them with an R-E at the end was not correct, so he decided we should spell it E-R.
I gotta tell you, if I put out my own dictionary, I'd make some words up. Did he ever do that?
He did. There was only one word that Noah Webster ever made up. It was demoralize.
Every writer can understand that. There are always stretches where you are demoralized.
Yes, absolutely.
Webster's American Dictionary was published when Noah was 70 years old. The 2-volume set was so massive it took a year and a half just to print it. But at $20 per copy, a lot of money back then, it failed to sell. The Webster Dictionary didn't become a bestseller until after his death at age 85. He slept and wrote in this study until the very end.
Was this his last bedroom?
Yes, he died in this room.
A writer's cramp?
No, but good try.
What was the longest word in his dictionary?
That I'm not sure.
I know what it is.
Can you tell me?
Hippopotamonstrosesquipedaliophobia, which is the fear of
Long words.
Thanks to Noah Webster, we'll never have to fear big words again, because we can look them up in his American Dictionary, which now contains over 600,000 entries. And I'm not gonna lie, our vocabulary would be pretty dull without it. But now, more of the Mo You Know. Cotton candy is one of the world's favorite treats. What was the profession of the co-inventor? Was he or she A, a dentist, B, a cotton farmer, or C, a sugar importer's wife? You twirl around those choices and we'll be back with the answer before you can say cavity.